you ready to start?
I am.
Okay, well then we should start.
Let's start. Let's do this.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with
Valerie
and Benny. This is the podcast where brother and sister discuss different subjects. That was profound and about wholehearted living.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, we usually come in with a topic, one of us, and the other one doesn't know what it is. And then we just kind of chat and discuss it and hopefully bring you some insight on how we might handle it to live a wholehearted living way of life.
Yeah, so the goal is just that we want to help you out. And we hope that it's a little entertaining like that little thing that just happened there. We don't do those things on purpose.
Did you ever have Mr. Walker in middle school?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you remember when he used to teach us music? He would, this is what he would say to us. I don't know about you. But he would say, staccato music is... No, I'm sorry. How did he do it? Legato music is smooth music. Staccato music is sticky music.
I do not remember this at all. I don't think it's the same Mr. Walker.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. It must have been, but I don't.
Was he drunk?
I don't recall.
Oh.
No. Maybe, you're older than me. Maybe he was sober by the time he got me and he just said it normal.
Well, as a kid, I didn't think he was drunk. And then people pointed things out a little bit later in life. I'm like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No, but I know I did have him, and well, I think everybody had him, didn't we? If you did music, it was like everybody had to have him.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him at all. Matter of fact, this is really sad. The only teacher I really actually remember, there was two teachers. Maybe if I really dug into it, I could figure some others out. But I remember one teacher was Mr. Tanaka in high school. And he taught chemistry. And the only reason why I remember him is because he kind of liked me and at the same time completely hated me because I couldn't understand it. It didn't matter how much he taught.
Well, that's so funny because I'm like, I don't know, Mr. Tanaka. Well, that makes sense because I didn't take chemistry.
Yeah, well, I might as well not have. I passed only because of Michelle Bischoff and Jimmy Yu.
And she sat next to you so you could look at her.
So that was it. And then the other person I remember is Mr. Davis, who was my math teacher, and I just loved him. He was a great math teacher, but he was really he was so loud. He was so loud. And of course, for those of you that might be listening elsewhere, from California, but California classrooms are like open to the air. Like you walk outside, you don't walk inside. And so you could hear Mr. Davis like all the way down the whole area. And matter of fact, if you were a teacher next to him, you had to close the door because even sometimes because you remember you couldn't always close the doors because it was so hot. Yeah, but you couldn't hear because he was so loud.
Wow.
He was really loud, but he wasn't yelling. He just was loud.
Yeah,
and so. Anyway, he was really cool though, and just a really good teacher too. But
I remember. Well, Mr. Neely, Mike Neely. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of the Spanish teacher. But she was funny. I don't know why. But who's...
Wait. Why would you have Mr. Neely? What did he teach?
I had him government.
He taught like classes?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
See, I only had him as a coach.
I think he taught history and government.
He was the varsity baseball coach. Yeah. And so what was funny is I didn't play my junior year because you remember I had surgery on my shoulder, so I couldn't play. And then my senior year, I went out and he didn't really know who I was. I don't know why. It's not, it had only been 1 year. And so I don't know why he didn't know me from my sophomore, because I was in JV freshman and sophomore year, I was a JV. So I skipped freshman. Yeah. And anyway, he didn't know who I was, and I went to go pitch, and Tom Button and Marco were like, yeah, he can pitch. And so, this is before everybody had all the mechanics, and so he just used like his watch as a stopwatch kind of a thing. And I threw a ball, and he clicks on it, and he looks at me, and he goes,
"Oh, where have you been?"
And he goes, "Do that again." He just say, "Oh." Okay. And it was really funny because I really think he was taking me over there like, I'm just going to humor you.
Him.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was like,
what's so funny? I vividly remember going to, I'm sure I went to a lot of your baseball games, but I was already married at the time. But I vividly remember to go on one of your games at North, walking up pregnant. I was pregnant with Nicole, and I was visibly pregnant. I didn't show for a long time, but anyway, I was visibly pregnant. I want to say 8 months or something. I don't even know. But he walked up and said hello to me and started rubbing my tummy. I thought that was the most weirdest thing for someone to do.
It is.
Right?
Well, especially without permission, and especially as ex-student.
Right?
That's just
It
odd.
was bizarre. And I just was like, oh, he goes, oh, you're pregnant, and started rubbing my tummy. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like thinking, would you rub my tummy if I wasn't pregnant? Like, why are you touching me?
That's just really, really weird.
It was. I don't know why when people are pregnant, for some reason, people think you can walk up and just go, oh, and touch it. But
I have to admit, I've touched a lot of tummies, but I always asked.
I don't know.
Because there is something very cool to think that's a baby.
Yeah. And as a woman, I know what it's like to carry a baby. And so I like, oh my gosh, and then, but I do, especially after that moment, I'm like, I need to ask people if I can.
Oh, and I will say this. I didn't do that.
You wouldn't do that to like a student or a client
I would have
or
done
whatever.
it to somebody
that you knew, like Nicole.
Family.
Yeah.
I mean, family member or somebody really close to us. But
no, that was bizarre.
Like,
that
even
made
Jen,
me
Patty,
feel
I can't
weird.
imagine rubbing. I don't think I rubbed Jen's tummy.
No, it's just bizarre.
That would have been.
And it was my ex-teacher, and he's an old man at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, he was an old man from the beginning. It seemed like
That's what I thought. He did. It did. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
you're
surprised
right.
he's still alive. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But you know who just recently died? Do you know who Mrs. Winkler is? The kindergarten teacher.
She was my teacher.
Yeah, she was my teacher. She just recently died, like over the summer.
Oh, that's very sad. And at the same time, I can't believe she's been alive this whole time.
Exactly. Because as a
'Cause we're really
teacher,
old.
I feel like when I had her, I felt like she was this older woman.
Well, of course we did, because she was 23. It's like, think about.
But didn't she have like a cute, like old style hair? And I almost felt like.
You were so funny.
But she had like wrinkles, but I think they were just really definite laugh lines because she always smiled.
I remember her name, Valerie.
Oh,
She was nice.
Sandy. She
I
had like
don't remember-
strawberry
I don't-
blonde hair.
I remember vaguely the color of her hair,
Yeah.
but I definitely didn't remember its style nor the wrinkles. That is the most bizarre thing ever. You're talking about so many details. I'm like, gosh, I just barely remember there was an adult in the room. So, let alone their name or any attribute of them.
Well, anyway, I just thought it was very interesting that she was living this long and passed away just recently.
So last week we, instead of, was that on Friday that we got together? No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday. So for those of you that aren't here, so it's Dodger fandom right now.
You guys came over. We watched the Dodger game, which was that the game that actually led us to the World Series?
Yeah,
Or
so
us, like
you
I'm
have
a
to know
fan.
how very dedicated we are to this podcast, because the very first game is happening right now. Oh, and by the way, we didn't even mention our sound guy. Hello, Iggy. Thank
Who
you
is
so
wearing
much.
Dodger attire.
Yeah, Iggy's wearing Dodger attire right now, and he's really not paying attention to us at all. He's watching the game. By the way, what's the score?
0-0.
Who's winning? Okay. Even my wife knows. Wait a minute.
I know 0-0.
That means
no one's
that no
winning.
one's winning. All right. Well,
Anyway,
it's your subject. Do something.
okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to say that I was being lazy.
The
'Cause
notebook is back.
The
notebook is back.
You're right, Iggy, and I'll tell you why, because I just told you guys a story about my contacts, right?
Yeah.
So here, I got to put these on to see. I could barely see anything on my phone. So.
Everybody on YouTube, you can laugh at her now and make comments.
So
Just kidding. So she normally wears contacts, and now she has to wear reading glasses.
I have contacts in, but the funny thing is, I got a new prescription for contacts. He said, "Oh, your prescription's changed, so I'm going to give you a sample to wear to make sure that you're okay with that prescription. If you're not, come back in and we'll adjust it." So I wore the contacts. I'm like, "Oh, these are great. I can see fine. These are wonderful." So they're 30-day contacts, right? So after 30 days, I always end up wearing them a little bit longer. So it must have been like 30, 40 days. I said, "Oh, take these out, put new ones in." But I never ordered my new prescription because I still had about 3 months left of my older prescription. So I put those in. And then I realized I couldn't see very well. But it didn't occur to me that I had my old ones in. I kept going, "What's wrong with my eyes? Why are my eyes so bad? I just got a new prescription." And then I'm like, "Oh, duh. I've been using the old
These are the
ones."
old prescriptions.
So my new prescription is supposed to come in the mail today or tomorrow. I'm not sure.
That's good.
So here's what we got.
Everybody journal that.
I
okay?
wrote it down in a
down.
book because I can see way better in my writing than I can in the small little notes thing on my phone. But okay, so here's what I wanted to chat about. I'm going to read quotes that I love. These quotes I randomly throw in my phone just to pop up on a calendar. So I'll just have a memory of this quote. You know what I mean? It'll just like random throughout the day, or I'll put it on a Post-it and have it on something at work or whatever. And so I'm going to read these quotes and then I want to just chat about them and think what you think about them. The first quote I have is, you either find a way or you find an excuse. Mm-hmm. The second quote I really love is, stop trying to calm the storm. Calm yourself. The storm will pass. Mm. The third one I love is, if you believe it will, if you believe it will work out for you, you will see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you'll see obstacles. And then the fourth one, I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust the sails to reach my destination. And the last one is, do something every day that brings you closer to your goals. So I kind of wanted to just chat about these because these are obviously how I try to live my life on a daily basis, whether it's like, you have something in your mind and you're thinking, okay, this is either going to work for me or it's not. And if you want it to work for you, then you have to find a way for it to work for you, right? So what are your thoughts on any of the quotes that I read? Did one ring true to you?
The last one, it probably rung, though they all ring true at some level. The storm one, I can't remember what you said about the storm one, but that one and the last one. Can you read the last one again? I just don't remember it. I just remember when you said it.
Yeah. Let me get my glasses back on. Do something every day that brings you closer to your goals.
Yeah. So I love that idea because I think for a lot of people, we've talked about this loosely many, many times, not as quite as direct as the quote, but the idea is so many people think that I need to make a difference now, whatever it is, whatever that thing is. It could be something regarding work. It could be something regarding, the big one for me probably is my health and my body and so on. And so you eat good twice and then you think, well, where's the body, man? What's going on? And so the idea really is, and then I do think about things that I do like to think towards goals. So I'm finishing my MFT. I only have 2 more classes that I'm in right now. Once I'm done with these, I just have to finish my internship and I'm done with the MFT. And so I'm starting to think forward, like, okay, what do I have to do? And so what's interesting is like, okay, every single day I'm going to have to start thinking through what kind of, do I want a business? If I don't want a business, what do I want? I kind of have a really cool situation because my internship has already told me they'll hire me as an associate therapist. So I already have a job, so to speak. I don't know that it's the job I necessarily want and all that, but I do know, meaning that clinic, I don't know if I probably could find something better somewhere else. But it's kind of like, in order for me to find that out though, I need to start thinking now about what is the one thing that I can do. So the one thing that's always happening with me is I'm in school. And so one thing people used to say to me, and I never could understand this because I only started getting my master's degree, a few years ago or whatever, right? So I went 35 years without going to school. Now I would read 20 books a year minimum, something like that. I read a lot of books. Is that a first statement? I read a lot of books and I read a lot of articles. I just read a lot. And so I just thought of myself as a learner. But what's interesting is I would always talk to people and say, oh, if I could be in school, I would always be in school. I would love to be in school all the time and all that. And I was always like, I don't get it. I really don't like, I didn't like school. I didn't enjoy school. Yeah. So it wasn't my thing. What I do like about school now is, number one, when you're getting your master's degree, you get to study just what you want. So that's a really big deal compared to my bachelor's degree, where you have to do a lot of stuff. The other thing is, I was so young. I think if I were to even redo my bachelor's degree, I wouldn't have done what I did. I would do it a little bit differently. It's not that I don't like the life I lived, but I had to study stuff that I didn't care about, and I could have done stuff differently, and I probably would have enjoyed school that much more. But what I do like about school is you have to do something every day towards your goal. If you don't, you end up in a really bad place. So it's like a way to continually keep me going. And now I can understand why people say,
Yeah.
oh, I really want to stay in school,
Yeah.
because they probably get, even though they might want
Yeah.
to be lifelong learners, they're not.
Right.
They end up like finding excuses to not do whatever.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's the point with the quote is like, if you have a goal, whether it is to further your education or because you want to move up in your job, you want a different placement, or if you have a health goal, if you have a gym goal, like you can't expect to reach that goal if you're not consistently working to it. And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So the goal with that quote, it just always reminds me of just do something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It could be.
Well, like I'm always fascinated when people say something like this, especially with exercise, and somebody will say, well, I'm going to start on Monday. I go, start today.
Exactly.
You know, it's like Friday. I go, like start. Oh, well, tomorrow I've got these things planned. I'm like, you know what? If you're able to already make mistakes, you're not starting on Monday. And sure enough, they don't.
Yeah.
And
well,
so,
and there you go. There's the other one. If you believe it will. No, where's the one?
glasses.
You either find a way or an excuse.
Yes, exactly.
And that leads me to that very point that you just mentioned, because there are so many people that I've talked to, and this is why I constantly have this. Well, all of these quotes are a lot of my favorites, and I do have them ring through in my phone. So just as a reminder, or like I said, just have Post-its around, because when you have something in mind, I want to get healthier, and we always use that as a thing, but that's something I personally have people talk to me about all the time.
Right.
I want to be able to do blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what are you doing today? Well, right now, it's a really busy time. My kids are in sports. I have this, that, the other. It's like, okay, well, you will either find a way or you will find an excuse.
Yeah.
So it's really that simple.
Well, it's really funny. In addiction, I'm actually I have 2 courses in addiction right now. It's really fun. But in addiction, one thing that people say, and this is depending, there's a lot of different ways to get out of addiction, but 12 steps are one of the big things that a lot of people use. And one of the famous phrases is, you're either working toward your sobriety or you're working towards your relapse. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is, it's like, well, but right now I'm really busy, or right now I got this, or right now I got that, or whatever it is. And it's like, all you're doing is and the way it's described in addiction is, you're just working toward your relapse. Because if you think that you can have this mindset and ultimately get out of it, then you're not going to get there. I really like that, because I think I try to live that way. I can't say I always do it, but I really do try to figure out. Matter of fact, I don't even know that I don't think I even function with the thought of, because my thought is this: if I can't do it now, then I'm probably never going to do it. That's probably my thought. And then I kind of just go, well, forget it. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be doing that thing, because if I legitimately don't think I can do it,
Yeah.
then I'm not going to do it. And so
You can't have one foot in and one foot out.
Yeah, you're either going to do it or not. And so for me, it's interesting, because it's like it's always fascinating to me, because somebody will talk about working out, and I'll just say, I don't like working out. Let's change the subject, because we always talk about that. I want to get farther in my career. I want to get promoted. So then the question that you might ask, rather than like go to your boss and say, in 1 year, I would like to have a supervisor role, or whatever the next thing is, right? Whatever the next ring is. Like I have a friend who went from middle management, and now he's an executive manager, or leader, or whatever you call it. And so we were talking through this whole thing, and the idea was, my next review, I'm going to ask, what do I need to do? And then every day you do that thing to show that you can be that person. And even if they don't recognize it, if you start acting like it, then it opens other opportunities for you that maybe are not even in this particular job, but you find yourself a role, because you're already thinking and acting like that person who could become that role, whatever it is. So yeah, I totally love the idea of saying you got to find a way. Patty is working out nowadays. And so I don't know if you don't get up earlier, right? Yeah. But she just figured out how to rearrange her schedule and use, and now that we have the office, she's using the office and using, Apple TV's little whatever that thing's called.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Fitness app and doing her thing every day. But it's very easy to put it off, right? And just go, I'm tired today, or this is different, and we can you could literally make justifications as to why, and they're probably like
real legitimate reasons. Yeah.
But at the same time, you could probably have found a way to make it work too, just as much as
well. And there's like that thing where people, here we go talking about the workout again, but it is something that people try to make a priority, but don't always do because they always find an excuse. Right. Yeah. But oh gosh, I lost my whole train of thought because it was like I saw this person quote or talk about it on Instagram, and now I can't think of what it was.
Iggy, be sure and keep that in there, okay? we're gonna title it with that. Oh my gosh,
what was I gonna just say?
I don't know, but tell me the last quote again because I forgot.
The very last one?
Yeah,
the one we just saw?
Yeah,
do something every day.
Yeah, do something every day. Oh yeah. No. I thought that was the other one. Do something. This was something else.
This is the last one.
Oh, do something every day. What was the other one that you just said? Don't make excuses.
You either find a way or an excuse.
You find a way or make it, or you have an excuse. And so I just know for me, and
it goes along with this one. I'm sorry to interrupt that, but it goes along with this one too. If you believe it will work out, you will see opportunities.
Yes.
If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles.
Yeah.
And that's, and okay, so just from just a very, a very good example of that is that I told you in the beginning of the year that I was going to get a pull-up, and then and I worked on it for a while consistently, and then because of the frozen shoulder and because of I couldn't hang completely still, I was like, I'm never going to get this, and I literally stopped doing it. I stopped trying. I stopped even stretching to try to get my hang better, and that applied to me so much, and that's why I kept that as a reminder, because I kept looking at that as an obstacle. And it didn't occur to me that the more I keep hanging, the more I keep stretching out that frozen shoulder, the more I keep trying. If I use a band, whether if I do a jumping pull-up, whatever it is, then I'm going to do that,
Yeah.
And so I needed to start seeing the opportunities that I did have, because I am able to go to the gym, because there is a bar accessible to me that I can try. I just need to keep trying. And I think I told you on the last podcast or so, I was able to get 2 pull-ups in.
Yeah.
And so, so, I mean, that's not a lot, but for me, that's huge, because that's lifting my body over a bar. And
right. Well, and I think that's the thing is, like, for me, I told you, and I still have this goal. I didn't put a date on it, but I have a goal of swimming from pier to pier, which I think is 1.5 miles. I think that's right, because I think if you run from pier to pier, which I used to do, it's 3 miles. So it should be 1.5 miles.
I think so, yeah.
So this is my goal. And so I still, at least once a week, or I've been trying to go at once a week. I think 1 week we missed, but and then last week I could have made an excuse. Patty didn't go. She wasn't feeling good. And so it would have been the first time, I know it sounds so ridiculous, that I would have to put the wetsuit on by myself. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just walk with her here or whatever. I was just doing all these hemming and hawing. And then I finally was like, no, I just need to do this, because I need to figure out how to do this on my own and make it work. And I have one of these little floaty device thingies so people can see me. You could see this little thing. Yeah. And then, and then I have, it doesn't matter. The point is, it was like, I could really make an excuse. Oh, and then the kids are coming over to watch a game. And I was like, and we were already I was running late, and I was like, should I do that? Blah, 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 blah. And then finally I just said, I just have to do it. It's like, because I'm either going to figure out how to do this or I'm not. Yeah. And so as long as I have this goal, I'm going to do it. And I ended up swimming faster than I ever have, because the water was friggin' freezing. Yeah.
And you're like, I got to hurry up because I'm running late.
Oh my gosh. Even with the wetsuit, I couldn't put my head in the water. Oh. That's how cold it was. Like every time I put my head in, it would like, kind of like, I'd start hyperventilating.
You should have wore a beanie or something.
I know. So I started to, but the point is, it's very easy to figure out.
It is very easy to make an excuse.
Yeah. I'm very good at excuses, by the way, just in case you're thinking we're perfect with food. Because it's just a few chips and seven chips. It's just a little bit. And then speaking of that, I didn't tell you this, but, so last night, one of my things of, it's just a few chips and some salsa. I thought that salsa tasted a little weird, but I thought maybe I was just tired. It was bad. It must have been bad because I did not have a good night. And I almost canceled this because I wasn't feeling good.
Shoot. Oh,
But
that sucks.
Let's just put it this way. It all left me.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And it wasn't in the toilet when I got here. So.
Listen to last week's podcast if you don't understand that.
The other quote I really love, I don't know how much time we have left, but stop trying to calm the storm, calm yourself. The storm will pass. And I think this kind of ties into something that I always try to live by, that we can't always control the situations around us, but we can control how we react to them. And so that is how that quote resonates with me, because, a lot of times you're just smooth sailing and then there's a storm. And then instead of you just riding the wave, we tend to overreact. Oh, get way too, controlling. Worked up, trying to calm that wave or whatever, versus just going, okay, wait, let's figure out how to ride the wave.
People do that even with their kids. People even do that with their kids because they try and control their kids' problems.
Yes.
And then they try to fix those things. And then they enter into things that they shouldn't be entering in, and they don't allow their kids to learn how to grow and so on. What you're really saying, I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but, again, going back into addiction, the serenity prayer.
Yeah,
it's something
exactly.
people use. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and this is the hardest part, the wisdom to know the difference. And most people think that they can control far more than they actually can.
Exactly.
And the truth is, the only thing we can control is ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can only, and we've talked about this part many times in the podcast, where there are things that you can do to try and take, not controls per se, but to guide it in the direction that you're trying to make it go. But at some point, sometimes there's no further.
Someone
exhausted
dies.
all
someone
the
dies.
Yeah.
They're gone. Mm-hmm. You cannot control that.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that storm? I mean, I know that you're probably thinking of other things, but that's one thing.
No, it's very true.
They are laying off 100 people at the company.
You lost your job. Can you
job.
control that? No, but you can control how you react to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your kids are struggling in whatever, and then you can't control your kids anymore. I guess it depends on their age. Okay, well, I'm talking about more adult kids, teenage kids even. But then you can't control the situation, but you can walk your kids through that thing and allowing them to learn how to control themselves rather than try and control the circumstances. Yeah. I used to preach a sermon. I can't remember what verses I used to justify this, but anyway, but what I would do is I would actually get a cup of water, or maybe I would get something colorful like Coke or something like that. I'd get Coke. And for those of you that are on YouTube, I'd be holding the Coke like this and then shake my arm. Shake it really hard. Okay. And then I say, what just came out of there?
Coke.
Why?
Because I shook it?
No. Yes. But why did Coke come out of here instead of water?
Because you put Coke in it?
Because I put Coke in it. Okay. The same thing in our lives. When you come up against the storm, what's going to come out of you is what you've been putting in you. So if you're putting inside yourself a bunch of crap and you're listening to music that's really influencing you, if you're listening to things that are constantly influencing you in a negative way, if you're talking to people in a negative way.
That's so interesting that you're saying that, because Peter was just telling me yesterday that he talks to a guy. He became friends with a guy and helped him move a couple of weeks ago from our church. And the guy's philosophy is garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Whatever, and especially if it's something that you're constantly, having fed to you over and over and over.
That's right.
That's usually what ends up happening with your life and how you're expressing outwardly or whatever.
So what you're reading, what you're listening to, the people that you're hanging around, all of those things are filling up your cup. And so when all of a sudden the storm comes and you're shaken, because that's what happens, you're shaken, what you put into the cup is what's going to come out of the cup.
Yes.
And so it's a huge deal. And then I'm going to go one step further for those of you that say negative things to yourself. So then you're saying, I'm bad, I'm weak, I can't do it. I don't know how to do that, which maybe is true, but we could change those questions and say, I'm going to learn how to do that.
I can't do that yet.
I can't do that yet. I can, and then you could start changing what you're saying about yourself, because that's filling up your cup. Your brain isn't going to distinguish what's good and what's bad. It's only going to take it as input.
And that's funny too, because I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about that and manifesting, and they were just saying our brains are naturally wired to spew whatever it is that you're feeding it.
Exactly.
So if you're feeding it this negative stuff about yourself, and a lot of times we grow up with negative stuff because maybe things that happened in our life in childhood or whatever, but you can change those, the verbiage in your head.
That's right.
And
you might have to learn it. And this is where you go to therapy again, or you do something where maybe you can work through
first
some
of all.
it.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly saying something that you're finding yourself not being able to talk, you're like, I just really don't believe what I'm saying to myself, and I'm really stuck here or whatever, that is where life coaching, therapy or whatever is going to help you identify. I'm not all about just necessarily identifying what's in the past, but sometimes identifying it is enough just to go, oh, this is a false belief I have about myself.
And I think a lot of times you really do have to recognize what has happened in the past, because that's the only way you can kind of move on. Like you don't want to carry it with you forever. You kind of want to, it's not like you need to throw the baggage away, but you got to kind of put it somewhere else, because it's not who should be defining you anymore. And yet you kind of don't want to forget it, because hopefully you've made leaps and bounds to being the person who you are or want to be. So you want to remember where you came from, but you also don't want to keep picking it up and carrying that,
and I'd even go one step further, that some people, you start making decisions based on something that you're starting to believe about yourself. Maybe something is coming up and you're believing something about yourself, and you start making decisions based on that, whether it be career or whatever. And then all of a sudden you realize the only reason why you're believing that is because of something, and it has something like maybe you had some kind of trauma in your past. And then all of a sudden you deal with the trauma and you realize, oh my gosh, this future isn't at all what I wanted. I just thought I wanted that because it was like a Band-Aid over what I was feeling. Yeah. And the truth is, there's definitely the times when we need to look in the past, but I think it's super, super helpful. What was the first one?
We already did that.
Oh, what was
you
it?
either find
which
the other one that we
haven't
we kind of did. I can't change the direction of the wind, but I think we really touched on all of them.
We touched on all of them.
Yeah.
We're amazing.
Yeah.
Iggy, aren't we amazing? Iggy just smiled.
Iggy, come on, humor us.
Yes, come on.
No, I know this is a weird subject, but I was just very lazy and trying to figure out what to talk about. Actually, no, to be honest with you,
no, I was lazy yet.
I wasn't lazy yet. I could admit that I was lazy. Yeah. No. I actually, one of these quotes, I can't remember which one it was, popped up on my phone today, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about that tonight. And then I was like, I'm going to talk about all the quotes that I have showed pop up, because that's how I roll.
I think it's great.
I'm very loud.
So
but
I think it might be helpful for some people. I don't think it was as funny though, except for Iggy talking all the time and interrupting us.
But I will say to the followers, if anybody's listening and wants to, if any of those quotes resonated with you, I will remember to put them in the description.
There you go.
This time.
Yeah.
And also find something that you find very helpful, maybe as a gentle reminder every day or once a week. Put it on your reminders in your phone, stick it on your mirror. I don't know.
Oh, that's a really cool thing.
Because sometimes it's just very helpful to shake you up. Like I know exactly this particular quote that I heard today, or popped in my phone today, was after a very, very long period of time in the classroom with two very high-strung kids, if you will. And I was just like, oh my gosh, in my mind, I was going crazy.
Yeah.
And then this quote popped up and I was just like, it just kind of grounded me again. I was just like, oh, I needed to hear that right now.
I love the idea of writing things down, especially if you're saying negative things to you, write a positive thing. And don't do yourself a favor and don't write a negative, meaning don't say, I am not beautiful, because that's not helpful. So or I am not ugly. Don't do that.
No.
You write, I am beautiful.
Yes.
I am capable.
I am smart. I am.
Yes.
I am. So all these am statements.
I am
on a
statements that are
positive
positive.
Yeah.
And those are great reminders.
Yes. So. I am a weirdo.
Yeah. Well, there's no
question. I am getting old.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
I'll tell you when I disagree.
I am going to end the podcast now.
Oh, Okay. No, I think we should talk a little bit more. Iggy, go ahead and tell us. Sing a song.
Iggy, what's the score? Iggy, what's the score?
It's still 0-0.
Okay.
What inning?
Bottom of the fourth.
Holy
Ooh.
cow! It's the fourth inning.
Wow. Yeah, it is.
This is the first time the Dodgers haven't we played in the series where it hasn't been a ridiculous score by the third inning. It's like literally.
Are you saying inning?
Inning?
It's inning. I-itch-I. Not E.
Inning.
Inning. He's saying inning.
Does it sound wrong to you?
Inning.
Inning.
Say I.
I played baseball.
Itch.
I itch.
I.
Eh.
Inning.
Inning. How do you say it, Iggy? You say it.
Inning?
See? He says it right.
Oh, I thought he said it exactly like I did. Patty, you say it. Oh,
See, she
geez
says it right too.
Louise.
But you know what's
I heard
funny?
hers.
Stephanie says milk. So I think that's
Milk.
why you say inning.
Milk. And she says school.
Skew.
Skew. That's dad. Totally dad.
Skew.
And heel.
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 I'm going to go up the heel.
I'm going to go up the heel. And it's like, no, that's the heel of your foot.
All right, you guys. Thank
that
you for
was really
being
dumb.
here.
Hey, we are at wholehearted_living_podcasts on Instagram. We'd love for you to follow us. And also Wholehearted Living, you can find us on YouTube.
That's
so
right.
subscribe, please. Put a like, check, comment, do something wonderful.
Please do.
Yeah.
And share us.
Share us too. That would be great.
All right, my friends, we will talk to you later. Bye.
Ciao.